Hi, I'm Polly and welcome to a special series on the Elevated Life podcast with my friend, co-host, Nisha. Nisha is a therapist and someone I met just last year. What started as a glass of wine turned into hours of honest, expansive conversation, the kind that lingers, shifts something in you and makes you feel less alone. And we realised these weren't just conversations for us, they were stories that needed to be shared. So we hit record, and that's how this series was born. We talk about the real stuff, the fear that shows up when you start to grow, the friendships that change as you come home to yourself, and the stories we carry about worth, identity, and how much space we're allowed to take up in the world. We're not here to offer quick fixes or perform perfection. We're here to tell the truth, to sit in the messy middle, and to remind you, through story, that healing, growth, and self-worth aren't destinations, they're choices we keep coming back to. So whether you're in a season of upleveling, letting go, or learning to trust yourself again, we're so glad you're here. Because the stories we tell shape the lives we live, and when we change the story, we change everything. This is the Elevated Life podcast. Let's begin. Hello and welcome to another episode with me, Polly. I'm Nisha. We are so glad you're back. Today we're talking about upleveling, self-sabotage, fear and limiting beliefs. And I have just finished an incredible book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And I'm just going to share a little bit about that before we start. So The Big Leap is one of my favourite books that explores why we sabotage ourselves when life is going well. Gay Hendricks introduced the idea of the upper limit problem, an internal thermostat for how much success, love and happiness we think we're allowed to have. He shows us how fear, worry and self-doubt sneak in just as we start to uplevel, and offers a roadmap to shift into our zone of genius, the space where we feel most alive, purposeful and free. Now, Nisha, talking about self-sabotage.
I know what you're going to say.
Are we going to tell the listeners how we potentially might have self-sabotaged?
We are, because we did. Whether or not we called it in or not, I don't know. But we have actually recorded this episode for the second time.
We're getting a bit of deja vu, aren't we?
We are, certainly. Because the first time we recorded this, we didn't actually hit record. So we were having, at the time of our lives, incredible insights. And it wasn't documented anywhere. Self-sabotage is what it sounds like. It's probably what it... Even though it's not, probably, on a deeper level. But
who knows?
Who knows, exactly.
But I tell you what, we smashed it.
We did.
So awesome. So there's that. Mm. And my other confession is, and I wonder if this is self-sabotage, I feel like it could be. Before doing this podcast, I had never finished The Big Leap. And I had read it. I've read it every year for about 6 years. I get halfway through, rave about it, because it is so good. And then I give it away. I give my copy away. Do you think that's my upper limit in action? Do you think that is a form of self-sabotage?
Yeah. I think it's important to remember that self-sabotage is not a flaw. It's a protective mechanism.
Yeah.
Right? It helps us in lots of different ways. Often it's a defense mechanism that the mind constructs to help us to perceive any dangers that started in childhood. But what happens is we carry this mechanism with us through adulthood. So even though if it was once helpful, it might no longer be helpful in adulthood. And I think part of the journey is to recognize when it shows up for us. What are our limiting beliefs? What are the self-sabotage? What are the things that we unconsciously do that hinder our progress?
Mm-hmm. So this already feels quite deep. That was my self-sabotage. Have you had any self-sabotage come up for you?
Yeah, I think once it's on your radar, and what I will say is it's important to be able to build capacity for when it shows up, right?
Do you think, though, firstly, we need to be aware? Do you think a lot of people are aware that they are self-sabotaging themselves?
No, I think until we don't grow that capacity to have the awareness to understand, okay, this is the resistance coming up. I think the biggest thing with self-sabotage is if something comes up and we pause and sit with it for a second, it can feel really uncomfortable. And it's almost that feeling that it's being outed. There's a resistance there, like it's saying, oh no, she's going to find out any moment that we're acting in this way to help protect her from something, or we're acting in this way so that she doesn't do whatever it is, X, Y, or Z, right? And it can feel really powerful when we're able to, the more we pick it up, the more discernment we have, the more awareness that we have for it as well.
And awareness is the first.
Absolutely.
If we don't have an awareness, we can't start. We can't start unpacking it. Have you felt any self-sabotages come up for you lately?
Yeah, I think generally the more you do it, the more you pick up on that. I had an instance last night actually where I was thinking about something in relationships, and it came up as, for me, it was a really strong feeling, almost like a, oh no, no. I could feel like an internal panic started coming up. And it's really interesting because I could feel it viscerally in my body as well, this resistance to what I was thinking about. And once I kind of sat with it for a few moments, it just kind of vanished. And I couldn't find that feeling again of this limiting belief. I was able to cognitively recognize it. And even now thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense. But in that moment, it was such a visceral energy of resistance that, I don't want her to believe in this. Can we do something else? Right. And that feeling in my body could have been a way of self-sabotage trying to deflect and say, oh, what's that sharp pain in your leg? Don't think about this. Let's distract and look at something else so you don't uncover this belief that's been keeping us safe.
And that's it, isn't it? It's the body keeping us safe.
Yeah. Doing what it knows best. That's why it shouldn't be seen as a flaw. It's a protective mechanism. But at some point, there needs to be a point where we look at that and think, actually, this isn't keeping me safe anymore. It's not keeping me in that box that it used to, because I'm an adult and I've outgrown that mechanism.
And a lot of these come from childhood beliefs, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. A lot of limiting beliefs as well. Perhaps things around core beliefs, core wounds that we have. Don't do this because this will happen. And a lot of it is about our worth as well. I think that's really important, that we're so worried about our power and how much we can do. And what are the ripples of that? What is going to happen as a result?
And the saying that I tend to say a lot is another level, another depth. Like some of these things, the same things might come up, or if you've worked through it, there's something else. Yeah. It's not just like one and done, is it? That we got to keep going back to this work. Why do you think this topic feels important for us to explore now?
I think because it's something that's always there. And so the way in terms of the healing process, the way I see it is that you have the past. Quite often that needs to be worked on and things need to be sat with, excavated and sat with when we listen to these emotions and feelings and experiences. And then in terms of the future, there are things around, I guess, becoming the person that we want to be. But within that, there is a gap. There is something that needs to bridge these two things together. And that can often be things like the limiting beliefs. If we can recognize a limiting belief in the past and change it so it's more of a positive belief for the future, it helps to bridge that gap. And so I think at any point of the journey, it's great to be able to understand our psychological defenses and adaptations so that we're able to pave the way for our future in the way that we want it to look for ourselves.
According to Gay Hendricks, people unconsciously sabotage themselves when they reach new levels of success due to the upper limit problem. Do you agree with that? I mean, this is the whole essence of the podcast, isn't it? So actually, if I could share a story, is I used to think that I would be happy when I'm successful. And I feel like I would sabotage myself with success. And then I went through therapy. I did a lot of work on this. And when I switched to I'll be successful when I'm happy, I started to focus on the feeling of making myself happy. So richer relationships, hobbies, trips away. And when I started focusing on myself and my happiness level and things that I was able to let into my life, I started to become more successful. So creating a more nourishing environment for myself, actually, when I turned that on its head, really helped me. And it was quite pivotal, me changing those thoughts. Can I share another little bit about what Gay Hendricks says? So he will say that he shares a story about how his work was going really well and he was happy in his relationships. He was in a good mood. He was taking it all in. And then his mind started to worry about his daughter who was at summer camp. And he started to worry about her, that she was lonely, miserable, bullied by other kids. And the inner joy he had disappeared from his body. He called the place where she was staying, so the summer camp she was at, and his daughter, Amanda, was absolutely fine. And apparently he was the third parent to call that morning. And he continued to say that he manufactured the stream of painful images because he was feeling good. That part of him was afraid of enjoying positive energy for extended periods of time. And he said when he reached his upper limit of how positive he could feel, he created a series of unpleasant thoughts to return him to a state he was used to, i.e. not feeling good. And he said the pattern is simple, that he would enjoy a period of time where he would feel really good and then do something to mess it up. And when he hits his upper limit, he does something that stops his positive trajectory. I relate so hard with this one. I will have a great day. It'd be one of those days that you think, oh my God, this is so special. Everything was lovely. I had all wonderful people. I went on a dog walk, or, the weather was brilliant. And then I would go to bed and I would get all teary thinking something's going to happen to one of my parents.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did I go from having such a good day to this?
Yeah.
And this book has kind of highlighted or shown me that I have a quota of happy feelings, and I obviously reached that.
Mm-hmm.
And now went into almost self-sabotage mode.
I think we look at core reasons for this, right? One can also, I think the biggest thing that people struggle with self-sabotage, the reason why it comes up is because essentially we're protecting a version of ourselves that doesn't believe we're worthy of success, right? What would it mean for you, Polly, to have everything in your life perfect? Even hearing you say that, I wonder if there's any resistance. Something has to give.
Yeah.
And when we're wired for things like maybe suffering from a young age, we've had difficult traumas and things that we've had to just kind of live with, I guess. It can feel uncomfortable. Well, why do I get this all on a plate now, right? If this was to happen, everything would be amazing. And that can be really overwhelming.
And am I deserving
this? Yeah.
of this?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the first thing that came up for me was like, yeah, but life isn't perfect. It can't always be perfect.
Right. And there is a part of you that's protecting from this belief. Well, it can't be perfect. Even if it is, something has to give.
Yes. Or almost, what do they say? They say like bad things come in threes.
Yeah.
That it's almost like, oh, well, something good is happening, therefore something bad has to happen as well.
There has to be a balance.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because he said to spot the upper limit, it could come out as one of these. So it could be worry that spirals, which is what I tend to do after a good day.
Yeah.
After I've apparently reached my quota. Criticism and blame is one. Deflecting, squabbling, so maybe starting a fight with someone.
Yeah.
Or getting sick or injured. He said people will have a hidden barrier within them, and people tend to have 2 or 3, but people generally have at least 1. So feeling fundamentally flawed.
Yeah.
Fear of abandonment, success equals more burden, or outshining others. Yeah. So it's interesting because a thought that came up for me is when you think about lottery winners, how many lottery winners, that's a bit of a, feels like a tongue twister, lottery winners. So they often return to the same net worth or worse off before when they won it. And do you think that's the upper limit of work and self-sabotage?
Could be, because they don't feel like they're worthy and deserving of having it.
Yes.
Let's say there is, I mean, I guess you never hear of an astute business person ever winning the lottery. It doesn't really work.
No, because they are their lottery.
Absolutely.
They choose themselves to win.
But if they were to win the lottery, if they believe they are worthy of having a good lifestyle, perhaps something they've created for themselves, then they would invest all that money because they know there is something good will come out of it.
And it can continue to grow.
Right. But if you've lived in a state of perhaps trauma, or there's been a lot of dysregulation, a lot of emotional pain growing up, what do we do with all of this? It can feel outside of their identity, right? And essentially that's another element of self-sabotage, is shedding old identities to fit in with the new version of yourself that you want. Let's look at some core reasons, because I think you've touched on some of them. So core reasons, things like unconscious protection from emotional pain. If there's a fear of rejection or a fear of abandonment, fear of shame, failure, will sabotage to avoid all of those happening, even if it costs us success or happiness. Yeah. Perhaps there's a protective part that tries to shield by feeling disconnected or invisible. For example, if you were to, let's say you won the lottery ticket, but you didn't go in and cash it because there's a fear, well, what if people find out that I've won all this money?
What if they use me? What if What else do you think could come out?
Absolutely. What if they leave me?
What if they leave me? Yeah.
A lot of things that come out of this. So there's also then attachment-based fear of vulnerability. Early relationships shape our nervous system. And so if love feels unsafe, we associate closeness or success with danger and push it away. That would stand to be the same for success. Yeah. If we're not a kid, what is safe feels familiar. And what is familiar is often safe to us, whether it's positive or toxic or whatever that looks like. So if being successful means that it's unfamiliar to us, it's vulnerable. Yeah. It can feel like we don't want it because it doesn't, again, fit in with our belief, ourself, our identity.
Yeah. So whether it's friendship, success, or love, it's all about allowing more in and not shrinking when life gets good. That's all well and good to say that, but how do we get there?
Yeah.
How do we allow more joy in?
Reinventing yourself requires grief. There is a loss there, that there's an end of a chapter. Something in our life is ending. We're mourning this loss that's no longer there. Grieving the parts that maybe had to shrink to survive, that had to perhaps self-abandon parts or reject part of us to fit in with what the norm was around us. So when we're able to do that as one step of the process, acknowledging I can end this chapter of my life. In order to bring in new things, we have to close certain things off. It'd be wonderful to be able to carry all of this, but therein lies the problem that we're carrying things that we don't need to from the past. So being able to let that go, perhaps with appreciation, with gratitude that this is no longer in my life anymore. I'm calling in something bigger, something more aligned with what I want for myself. Even if I'm not there yet, that's what I want. This is where I'm going to set my beliefs and my standards for myself. There's also an element of outgrowing the version that everybody else perhaps around us is comfortable with.
And they might try and bring us down to their level, which is why sometimes you've got to look at I think all the time, you've got to look at your relationships and friendships, romantic, whatever, all around you.
Yeah. And shedding those beliefs means that you also then, there's going to be a level of outgrowing those relationships, perhaps where they benefited from things like your self-doubt, your overgiving, your responsible nature, your people-pleasing, your perfectionism tendency. Oh, don't worry, they'll deal with it, it's fine. He'll take care of it because it's sorted out, or she'll manage this because she's always done it. If you start saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore, you manage this yourself, this isn't even my responsibility.
Yeah.
They don't like that.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's a conscious thing or not, I think there's an archetypal energy that people will be tried to be kept small and controlled by those around them because it benefits them.
Yeah. And change requires new neural pathways. And our current neural pathways are worn really well, and it's so easy just to fit back into old patterns. It takes conscious effort.
It does.
So falling back into old patterns can be unconscious.
Yeah.
We need to be conscious, we need to be aware. Besides it being tiring, I mean, it's hard work to create a new habit.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen overnight.
And with that comes a lot of emotion as well. Is there a guilt about me doing my own thing? Is there a loyalty towards family or cultural conditioning? Is there a shame around this? For example, women can't be business women. So how could I be one? Or maybe I can be a businesswoman, but I can't earn a certain certain amount.
Yeah.
There is a glass limit there. Right? So there is a limiting belief. I can be a businesswoman, but I can't be successful as my brother. Or I can be a doctor, but I can't be head of the ward because that means I'd show my uncle, for example.
We are always feeding mostly negative things into our minds, aren't we? So he talks about your ultimate success mantra, and this would be very different for everyone. So I expand in abundance, success and love every day. I inspire those around me to do the same. That's an example he gives. But we could make these absolutely personalized to ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we're up-leveling business, I deserve all the abundance and success coming my way. I am ready for this. And it's swapping that every time. And again, it's awareness and it's being conscious, isn't it? Of just noticing those beliefs that come up.
Right.
And then swapping them over and bit by bit.
And I think it's also important to bear in mind to have compassion for yourself, that you've always lived this way for so long. Things will not change overnight, but it's that 1% compounding effect. Little by little, it will change.
You know, I've got a little story about this. I don't know if I've told you this actually, but I used to be really shy, like painfully shy.
No way.
It hurt. Oh my God.
You wouldn't believe this, guys, then, but...
Do you know what? I would have, a lot of the time, I would have my lunch at school. Like, I would skip it and I would go to the toilet because I was too embarrassed just to be seen as myself. Bear in mind, I was in like sixth form, I was like 16, I wasn't a baby. And I felt so self-conscious in the way that I looked and showed up. any guy that spoke to me, I would go bright red. I would have like joke with friends, but I was so insecure growing up, and even through uni. So I thought going to university would change, and it didn't. So I spent the first few years at university being like in my room, like I had a boyfriend, and that was a good excuse for me, because I would travel to Loughborough. He was like 4 hours away, and then I could go see his friends, but I was so shy. All of his friends thought I didn't like him. I was painfully shy. And I had an opportunity to study abroad. And originally I was going to go with friends of mine, Unyung and Maybe. And they didn't get the grades to go. I did. And I remember banning all of my friends and family and saying, you are not allowed to talk to me about Australia. I was studying in Australia, and I was like, you're not allowed to talk to me. So I did all the things, like the shopping that I needed to do, the visa or whatever. I can't remember what it was now. And I rang my best friend at the time, Layla, and I said, Layla, I can't do this. And she said, you're going to get on that plane and you're going to have the best time of your life. And I was just thinking, oh my God, I'm not confident. How can I do this? Because originally the three of us, then me, and it was a world away, a completely different world. And I went over there and I decided on the flight, and I was like, I could live this shy life and it be a fraction of what I want it to be.
Yeah.
Or I can change things. No one over there knows me. I'm going to pretend to be confident. And I went over there and I pretended to be confident at first, like just a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I came back a completely different person. And you wouldn't be able to tell now, would you?
No. I mean, I didn't know you back then, but I'm
doing freaking podcasts. Like this was me that would shy away. I was so, and I knew I had a lot more in me. But every time I was like, there's more that I can give. There's more in me. And I kept working on my self-belief, and it took ages.
Yeah.
And actually, I say it took ages. I was there for 6 months.
6 months.
6 months. But 6 months, that's not overnight.
It's not.
It's nothing.
But it's not that long either.
No.
Which is really, really impressive.
And I think that was a powerful moment. That was a sliding doors moment for me. And I am, I think possibly one of my proudest moments.
Yeah.
And I have worked on it. I've worked really, really hard. Not to say that these limiting beliefs still don't come up, because they didn't go.
Right.
You don't all of a sudden become this, like, I don't have any limiting beliefs anymore. Again, it's another level, another devil.
Yeah. You level up.
Yeah.
And then they transform and they evolve into something else, and you catch them going into the crowd as an intruder in your mind.
They are
sneaky. Say, what's that shadowy, cloaky figure trying to get in with joy and happiness? And it's, catching it out. It's part of the ongoing work.
Absolutely. I mean, the fear is the unknown. We don't know what's going to come up, but I think celebrate the fear. So something I like to do is I will say, look, I see you. I was nervous before this podcast. It's like, I see you, nerves. And you can come with me, but you're not running the show.
Yeah.
You're not running the bus. I'm in charge. You can sit on my shoulder. You can be a passenger, but way back.
Yeah.
You're not running the show. And I think that is an important narrative, isn't it?
Trust me that I've got this.
Yeah.
Right, because I think the core of who you are, the essence that will not let you down.
Yeah.
This is I think that beautiful light within each and every one of us that we have, is trusting that part of us, that they are not going to let us down. They're not there with any kind of, I guess, ill intent at all. Right. I know a lot of people will say things like self-sabotage feels horrible. They don't like it. It has a good intention. It's trying to keep you safe. It's protective. But it can also, essentially what's happened is you've outgrown those mechanisms anymore. So it's just carrying it and just saying, look, I recognize you when you're coming up. But like you said, you're not running this. Trust me, I've got this.
Yeah. I mean, this is all programmed in early childhood. Yeah. So he was just, back to the book again, he was just saying that when we feel good, we can come up with an old belief, like I must, and then, the old belief will come up, I must not feel good because X, Y, and Z. And one belief must win. So you either turn down the volume on the positive feeling, or the positive feeling wins. So you're practicing expanding your capacity for the positive feelings.
Yeah.
As the capacity expands, the abundance in your life does too.
Yeah. I remember that expansion can feel unsafe at first because it's unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Right. But it's the body adapting to this new capacity. Stretching is essentially what it is.
Yeah.
It's wide for familiarity, not freedom.
Yeah.
So when you expand that, it feels unsafe and familiar, but stay with it, because aligned beliefs don't come from affirmations alone. They also come from when the body feels that it's safe to change, right? Like we were just talking about that level of trust. Trust me, I've got this. Yeah. The body knows that the mind is working in sync and alignment with it.
Yeah.
That's when the leveling up really happens. And it's wonderful to start with these beliefs that I'm going to believe in this, I'm going to believe in whatever it might be, but it's also allowing the body to relax in that safe that you've got it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Absolutely. So he talks about 4 zones. So the first one is the zone of incompetence. Things that we're not good at and others can do much better. So he recommends delegating them, avoiding doing them altogether. And the zone of competence. You're okay at these jobs, but others can do them well. And then there's the zone of excellence. So the activities you do very well, you make a good living from it. It's a seductive way to be. People expect you to be and stay there, but it doesn't make you happy. And then the zone of genius, the set of activities you are uniquely suited to do, they draw on your special gifts and strengths. You're called to be there. This is your path to success and your life satisfaction. So, and this is what he talks about, is that this is where we have to start believing that we are worthy of being in our zone of genius. And the zone of excellence could be, do you have an example off the top of your head of what you're brilliant at, but you don't necessarily enjoy it?
I'm good at really good organization, but painfully pernickety details. I enjoy organizing things, but I'm more creative. I'm more about engaging with people, having that connection. That's why I love what I do for work, being a therapist. In terms of the affirmations as well, I think it's important that they're believable. Make them realistic. Like you said, money flows to me, or I live in abundance, but also visualizing what that means. For example, if somebody was to say, I want to be a millionaire in 6 months' time, but have no business plan and no idea how they're going to do it, it's not going to work out, right? Because it just won't. Where would you start? How does this come into being?
You've got to feel it in your body, haven't you?
Yeah.
You've got to
have a plan as well, because there'll be a part of you that is, that conscious part that's thinking, well, no, you won't be. How are you going to get there?
Yeah.
So what is the plan? Make a plan that is going to be able to work in steps and stages. Again, this small compounding effect. Little by little, you will get there. It might be that you start with, I'm going to be better at money management. I'm going to be more financially responsible. I'm going to have a business plan. In a month's time, I'm going to have everything set up so I can put this into action.
Yeah.
Right? This little chipping away analogy that underneath it, you're going to create this beautiful sculpture.
Yeah.
Right. Rather than thinking, okay, one day I'm going to do everything I need to make this sculpture be what it is.
Yeah.
Might not. It might take time. And as it evolves, you'll evolve with it, and vice versa. There's a beautiful synchronicity that happens with the work we put out.
Yeah. So discovering your zone of genius, he says, is your life big leap. That is where the big leap's going to come from.
Yeah.
So in your zone of genius, work doesn't feel like work. Time feels completely different. Time seems to expand to support our activities. Time doesn't fly, it flows. And I really like that. How many times have you been doing something that you love and you've gone, oh my God, 4 hours? Where did that go?
This is why my sessions are never long enough. I offer 90-minute sessions. I'm still we could still go for hours and talk and talk and talk.
A question that he gets us to ask is, what do I love most? What work do I do that doesn't seem like work? Exactly what I just said. I can do all day long without feeling tired or bored. And then he will ask, so actually, for you, you've just said that therapy sessions, 90 minutes, it feels like you could go longer. So that's your zone of genius.
Yeah.
Your zone of competence, I imagine, is or your zone of excellence, rather, is the organisation behind it. People go, she's on it.
Yeah.
But that is not necessarily your zone of genius. Yours is client time.
And I think being able to put out the content that I put out as well, understanding things about myself, about insights, awareness, things that I can share with not just clients, but also people that are part of the community members, and everything that I have on socials as well, I think is really important. When I have a client who's really unsure about if they want to do the work or not, quite often, every once in a while, it just kind of crops up as this archetypal energy. They won't show up, or they'll say, oh, I got really ill, or I couldn't make the appointment. But there is something that stops them, this kind of self-sabotage, that they want to go to therapy, but they can't. Right? And it's so interesting when it happens, because I'll always check in with them and just make sure, do you want to, do you not? What's coming up for you? If they're able to work through that and still show up, fantastic, because there's a limiting belief there that we'll always talk about. But sometimes they can't, and I'll never hear from them again. or they might surface again in a year's time.
Do you know what? This is fascinating that you've actually said this, because I remember when I had a session with my current therapist now in 2018.
Yeah.
I remember it because it was before the pandemic. And I had a string of what I thought were not very good therapists. And I showed up to her and I thought, do you know what? This is really good. And I then didn't show up for another month because I was like, I'm actually going to really have to show up and do the work. Like, I feel like that I'm going to get someone with her. And then she went, oh my God, what did I do? Like, we've spoken about this since. And she said, what did I do? Like, and she was sort of going like, she was going inwards. And I came back and she said, oh, she's back. And that was me ready to do the work. But I did sort of self-sabotage my way. And you know, all these fears came up and I was like, I can't do this. This is too hard. And then I came back, started working on myself. It was hard, but it's always worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And so it's such a good example from one therapist to a client, right? Being able to see that difference. Sometimes I'll see after the first session as well, they just won't turn up again. I think there is a part deep within them that recognises, okay, this is where I could really shine and do the work. But those adaptations, those defenses kick in and say, no, it's a terrible idea. Don't do this.
I want to keep myself.
So that's where, exactly. Keep yourself this little baby box. You start to kick down the walls of that box. Almost like a matchbox we try and like contort ourselves into being.
Absolutely.
When we start kicking down those walls of that little matchbox, that's where the growth is. But there's also that unfamiliarity there.
Yeah.
And I think deep within us, we know a lot about that. We know this, whether we're consciously aware of it or not. But that's what keeps us stuck in those cycles.
So another question here, what is my unique ability? So this is to get within your zone of genius. There's a special skill I'm gifted with. I don't necessarily think gifted with, I think worked on. This unique ability, fully realised and put to work, can provide enormous benefits to me and my organisation and my business that I serve. Does anything else come to mind in your zone of genius? For me, I'm great at recommending things. Like, if I love something, I can recommend it to everyone.
Yeah.
That I find really easy. And it doesn't, essentially that's what selling is.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I'm selling it. I think inspiring people as well. I think for people to see what's possible within themselves, I love that realization when we're talking and they go, I could do this. Yeah. Even if it's they're really at the beginning of their journey and they're like, you see this tiny little like fire. Yeah. Or if it's gone out and you see it sort of burst into flames or something and you're like, oh, I've got them, I've got them.
Amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I think my unique ability is I would consider myself to be a very aware person. So I can sense people's feelings very easily. I could be in a room and be like, I feel like they're going through like something tough.
Yeah.
Through depression but I can see things really easily, and I think this is probably a trauma response.
That hypervigilance.
It's how I had to grow up. But does anything else to come up for you?
I think I resonate with what you said about, I guess, helping people, inspiring them. I have this a lot with, and I don't know what a lot of people's perceptions of therapy are and therapists, but I always have them say, oh my gosh, you're so nice. I didn't think it was going to be like this.
Oh,
and I thought, how many mistrenchables are there of being therapists?
I know. So when I was younger, I don't think so much now, but I remember going into places and they would always be sitting there with like no smile, but they'd have their notebook, and every time you spoke, they'd be writing in their notebook. Yeah. And it was like, I'm a human. I'm not a number.
It's discerning. Yeah. I mean, I'll do that. I'll make notes here and there. And it's quite funny because I'll see clients try and peer over and I'm like, no, these are just for me. Let's say, can I see this? No. But we'll always talk and debrief about things as well.
So something he says is, I'm at my best when. So for me, I'm at my best. This is for you to get into your zone of genius. I'm at my best when I put generating ideas for myself and other people or empowering others. When I'm at my best, the exact things I'm doing is, and I put having conversations with people, giving them ideas on how they can generate extra income. And then the next thing is when I'm doing that. So feel free to those that are listening to answer these questions for yourself.
And what I will, just to jump in there with caveat, don't think about it. We're going to reel these questions off. Don't think about them. Just go with whatever comes up.
Usually it's the first thing that comes up as well.
To mind.
Is right.
Stick with that always.
Yeah.
So go on, Paul.
So when I'm doing the thing that I love the most, it is, and I love seeing people's faces that show that there's a solution and more money to be made that they haven't even thought about before.
Mm-hmm.
By money, for me, money means freedom, it means choices, it means helping more people, and I love seeing their faces. Okay, so we've done your unique ability. So I'm at my best when I'm
Helping people.
helping people. Can you elaborate on that?
I think just in general, I think helping clients, I think helping people with, I'm going to be careful and say not with everything, but when there's support needed, I'm happy to step in and be that person.
So when you offer to garden for them?
No, this is what I mean within my boundaries. My boundaries. I don't know. If somebody asked me to babysit the dog, I'd probably say for sure, like any animal for sure. But I'm happiest when I'm helping people that are seeking support. Those people that are, whether it's clients that call up and just say, I need some support, whether it's clients that call up and say, I'm on my knees, what can I do? Whatever that is, I'm there for.
Yeah, amazing. So when I'm at my best, the exact thing I'm doing is
being present, holding space and awareness, and learning more about myself as well.
okay, great. So when I'm doing that, the thing that I love the most about it is
Connecting with people.
connecting with people.
Being able to get to know them. And I think everybody has a story. And it's really beautiful to be able to understand and uncover that together.
Absolutely. That's really lovely, actually. Actually, guys, she can be quite nice and she wants some sometimes. I love this next one. Here's the enlightened no. Is saying no to anything that doesn't serve your zone of genius, which will allow you to focus on your zone of genius.
Yes.
So I know so many people that I've spoken to and they go, I'm going to do this. I'm doing a podcast. I'm doing a course. I'm doing a workshop. I'm doing this. And I'm like, great. So who is going to look after the kids, or who's going to walk the dog, or what are you going to say no to, or what help are you going to get in, and what are you going to say no to, because most of us are at our capacity. So for things to change, we need to say no to something, or we need to get some help in, because we don't have a magical space that can expand with our goal or dream.
Trust me, guys, I've tried.
So have I, and it doesn't work.
I paid more for that than actually doing the work, which would have saved me like years of my life and be away.
But it's true, isn't it? So many people try to just fit this in.
Yeah.
And then that thing, if it's not put first, gets put to the bottom.
Yeah.
And it's either done quickly in a rush, or they just find they just don't have time for it.
And that saying no is going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to feel icky, guilt, shame, loyalty, whatever it is, it will come up.
Yeah.
But it's understanding, what are my values in this?
Yeah. And what boundaries am I going to put in?
Absolutely. So I've got my values. What are my boundaries that are protecting against my values and asserting myself? It doesn't mean it has to be done in an aggressive way, that these are my boundaries and I need you to respect this. It can be, I'm sorry, but just not right now. I just can't. I don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
Maybe next time.
Yeah.
Right. And leaving it as that. There's no need to justify. There's no need to argue. There's no need to rationalize it.
Yeah.
This is your view and you're entitled to doing that in the way that you want.
And as you just said, like, it is uncomfortable the first time you do it. It takes time. You've got to build that neuro pathway.
It will. You might feel yourself being really triggered. You might go into a stress response, right? You might feel that anxiety kicking in because it feels so different to what you've always felt.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Stay with that. Let yourself know it's okay. Let yourself know it's okay. I've got this. Trust myself. I'm doing this for myself, not for anyone else. And that's the difference. It's shedding those old beliefs based on what other people wanted you to do, but you're doing it for yourself.
And that over time becomes more familiar, doesn't it? And then it becomes easier over time.
And that's the growth.
Yeah. Oh.
Boom. I think it'd be helpful for you to run through those questions, Polly, if you don't mind, to get the listeners to answer.
Yeah.
So, Polly, if you can go through those questions again, whatever comes up, just go with your gut.
Yeah.
So for our listeners, let's go. Let's start with the first one.
So the first one is, what do I most love to do? What comes up for you? How does that feel in your body? What makes you smile? What gives you goosebumps? What?
Not what am I good at, but what do I love to do?
What do you love to do?
And then?
What work do I do that doesn't seem like work? So you could do all day without ever feeling tired or bored. And you feel a sense of, you don't need to necessarily feel a sense of joy, but maybe you do. Maybe you just feel like, I was born to do
satisfaction.
this.
Yeah, it might be tiring work, but if it's fulfilling, I think that's the crux, right?
Yeah.
If it's fulfilling, if it makes you happy, if you feel like if it's filled a space.
Yeah. So the next one is, what is my unique ability? What is it that you are brilliant at and you can run rings around other people when you do it? And it feels really natural. It almost feels like you're gifted at it.
And don't be modest about answering this. If you're good at something, give yourself credit for being good at something. It's okay.
Yeah.
That makes you who you are.
Could be running, it could be candle making, it could be doing workshops on how to knit.
Absolutely.
It can be anything.
It could be something. Yeah, absolutely.
And then the question she gets you, all the sentences. So I'm at my best when I'm. What are you doing when you're at your best? When I'm at my best, the exact thing I'm doing is. And when I'm doing that, the thing that I love the most about it is. And then this is where we put your ultimate success mantra in. So it could be, what would yours be? So he's put here, I expand in abundance, success and love every day as I inspire those around me to do the same. Another one that works, actually, if that feels like too big a thing. So, for example, Nisha and I think we mentioned it earlier, didn't we? We accidentally didn't press record on our podcast. So you can point out something that you might have done wrong. And the mantra is, even though I didn't press record on my podcast and it fucking sucks.
I don't know. I think this is probably better.
Yeah, this is better. But whatever comes up for you, I deeply and completely trust and love myself.
Okay.
So that's another way of doing it. It could be saying what you've done wrong, followed by deeply love. I completely love and accept myself, or something like that after.
And often there's a reason why sometimes it doesn't work out if you believe in that.
Yeah, I mean, I actually, when I found out, I laughed.
I think I cried a little. I genuinely laughed.
I was just like, I feel like this is going to be better, and I feel like it is. I would really love if any of our listeners would like to send in.
Yeah.
You know, we're on Instagram, and just tell us what comes up for you.
Absolutely. Before we leave, 2 last questions. The first one is, when you feel any resistance to something, to a sense of growth, asking yourself, what is my belief around this? Is it true? And the second is, what would the woman I want to become do? What is the woman I want to become? What would she do in this situation? How would she navigate?
Oh, I love that.
And there we go.
I'm going to go and sit with that for you as well. Look, we have got through another podcast.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us. It has been so lovely being with you, and hopefully we get to see you again soon. Lots of love. Bye. And if you've enjoyed this episode of the Elevated Life Show, please subscribe. It helps us reach more amazing people like you, and it helps you stay inspired and aligned every single week. See you next time.